The Calgary Police Service is continuing to investigate a bank robbery which occurred in 2009 at the TD Canada Trust in Forest Lawn. And we're appealing for information as the 6th anniversary of the offense has just occurred. Details of the robbery are such: at approximately 7:20 a.m. Saturday, February 7th, 2009, a male offender gained entry to the bank, which is located at 3012 17th Avenue Southeast, after a staff member opened the door. The bank itself was scheduled to open at 8 a.m. that day. The suspect brandished a handgun and forced staff members to open the vault. He was able to access a substantial quantity of cash before locking staff members inside the vault and leaving the bank. No one was physically injured in the robbery. However, staff were left extremely shaken, and this robbery's had a significant impact on their lives. We now believe that the offender was provided inside knowledge by a bank employee regarding the branch's opening procedures, which assisted him in the commission of the robbery. We are releasing new CCTV images and a video of the incident in the hopes that someone with additional information will come forward. These images are available on the City of Calgary newsroom. The suspect is described as a Caucasian male, 6 feet tall, 170 to 190 pounds, at the time wearing blue coveralls, a white hard hat, and his face was covered with a black ski mask. As well, he was carrying a large backpack. Anyone with information regarding this incident is asked to contact the Calgary Police.
So has the staff member who's suspected in this, he or she been arrested?
No, no arrests have been made to this date.
So why do you think that they are now involved somehow?
Well, the type of information, I should backtrack a little bit. Banks, each individual bank, like TD, Royal, BMO, they all have their own individual opening procedures. They're all different. So the information provided in this particular bank robbery was specific to TD Canada Trust. We can't get into what it was or how we obtained it. However, we are satisfied that it's inside knowledge specific to someone from TD Canada Trust.
So he could have been a former employee or he got help.
Correct.
Does this seem to be an isolated case?
It's an interesting question because we did just have one a few weeks ago at the Bank of Montreal on 4th Street. And that one was similar in some regards and quite a bit different in others. The main difference between the two was, of course, this one was opening and that one was just before closing. Similarities, of course, both we believe that there was some inside knowledge.
Would that be specific to would that knowledge be specific to a branch, or would that be specific to the brand of bank?
It's a very sensitive topic to get into the opening procedures. All I can really say is that each particular branch has their own opening procedures, and as well that those opening procedures are constantly changing and evolving as technology evolves, as better procedures evolve. For obvious reasons, we can't talk about what each bank's procedures are.
I get that, but I guess what I'm asking is, are you looking for some, you expect the connection is through that particular branch, or could it be somebody who's a former employee of another TD branch?
I get your question. Sorry, yeah. I would have to say that that's a reasonable question, and yes, TD Canada Trust as an organization, not specifically that branch.
So you talk about the victims that are shaken. How, in what way?
Well, granted, this happened 6 years ago. We haven't stopped investigating it. I mean, obviously other investigations come and go. It's not like we've been doing this steady for 6 years. However, I keep in contact with the victims and speak to them. And just even recently, the last few months, I guess the best way to describe it is something will happen while they're working, which will remind them of the incident, or someone will say something, or they'll have a look at somebody and it'll trigger the memories again. And it's a traumatic incident for all of them.
So how many of these staffers were hurt in the vault?
3.
And so were they provided like counseling?
Yeah, the bank itself provides very good counseling. That's TD Canada Trust. And as well, the Calgary Police Service has our victim services unit, so it's kind of a two-pronged approach.
And are they still working in the banking industry?
One is, two are not.
And so why today are you doing this? Is it because it's just the anniversary?
Well, it's the anniversary, and like I explained, we don't, as a service, luckily, don't get too many of these type of bank robberies. We want to solve it. We will keep working on it. We will solve it. And it's important that we keep it in the public eye, because we do believe there's people out there with information that will help us.
So these three staffers know the person who opened the door?
Do they know, sorry, and
Do they know the inside person who opened the door or facilitated the robbery?
you know, that's a question that goes to the investigative integrity of the file, and I really can't comment on that.
And you mentioned they're pretty rare, but what is rare about it? That they're an inside job?
Well, yeah, that it's an inside job, because if you look at it, this type of robbery, to do without inside knowledge is very difficult, because technically the bank is still closed. It doesn't. This happened at 7:20. The bank didn't open until 8 o'clock. So I think I talked to Michael, and he's going to put a what did you call it?
I'll put out a media advisory that's got the contact details for Malcolm Chivers.
Yes. Malcolm Chivers is an executive with the Canadian Bankers Association, and he can comment on the situation nationwide, how frequent it is. Personally, I've been in the unit for, I think, 7 or 8 years, and I've been to, counting the one in Bank of Montreal and this one, I think there's only been one other. So it's very rare in Calgary.
You mean bank robberies?
A bank robbery of this nature, where it's either before or after closing, where the vault is specifically the target. I mean, this is quite a bit different from your basic, I don't like to use the word run-of-the-mill bank robbery, but the average bank robbery that we see in Calgary is quite a bit different from this type of robbery.
And so the amount of money you probably left with is more than usual?
Correct. I mean, obviously we're not going to give you a dollar amount, but I can state that the average amount taken in a robbery in Calgary varies, obviously, but it between as low as a few $100s up to maybe $1,500, $2,000. But this was substantially more.
And so what are you going to do now? Just continue to ask for information from the public?
Well, we're releasing a new video. This video was not released at the time of the robbery back in 2009. We're hoping that someone is going to have knowledge, and sometimes in these type of investigations, with the passage of time, people become more open to talking about what's happened.
So you know right from the get-go that this was the inside job, right?
We definitely had our suspicions, correct.
Where are those persons of interest now?
I really, again, that has to go to investigative integrity, and I can't comment on that.
How many, you said you've been with this unit for 8 years. How many unsolved bank robberies do you have?
I would say that every year, in all the years that I've been in robbery, the numbers go between 75 and 85% clearance rate. So in other words, if we had 100 robberies, bank robberies, we would clear 85 of them. The numbers change quite a bit from year to year. Like when I first started here, we would be getting 60, 70 bank robberies a year. And now we're probably, I think this last year we had 30. So it varies from year to year. But there has been the trend has been downward, which is good.
Well, I remember historically there used to be a lot of, this is going a long way back, there used to be, shall we say, organized persons from Quebec and places that worked extensively here in Alberta.
Yeah.
Is that still a phenomenon? Or I mean, who does bank robberies anyway? Other than, I mean, there's some people who go in, they just need something for their fix, but I mean, who does these kind of sophisticated bank robberies these days?
Well, it's people who have obviously put a bit more thought into it than, like you said, someone who needs quick cash for a drug fix. But frankly, we've seen all types of people, and to try to pigeonhole him into one particular category would be a mistake.
Has there been, we used to see a lot more of it now, or, I mean, how would you assess this trend of organized bank robbery?
Well, organized bank robbery, by organized bank, like you're calling it an organized bank robbery, we would call it probably a takeover style bank robbery. You're talking, when you say organized, you're talking where 2 or 3 people or more come into the bank and basically a la TV, I guess, and everybody down on the ground and that sort of thing. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Why do we see less of those?
Are we seeing less of them? If so,
Yes.
why?
And why? Bank security is better. Communication between individual banks is better. Communication between police agencies is improved. And I think criminals are realizing that, and this isn't something I probably need to or want to get into too deeply, but all I can say is that sentences for that type of offense, that type of bank robbery, are quite severe. The courts are very, they give severe sentences for those type of robberies, so it probably has a preventative factor.
Did them are behind bars, is what you're saying.
We could hope.
Pardon?
We could hope.
Any other questions? Okay.
Is there anything specifically significant that you hope that when people watch these videos that they're going to see that you want them to pay attention to?
Well, the video itself will show some pictures of the culprit, the one that came in and did the actual robbery. They'll also show new photos or video of how that person walks, how they stand, and we never really know what little tiny thing is going to have someone be able to say, yes, it's this person or it's that person.
Is there anything distinctive to you when you watch these videos about the person's mannerisms or voice or?
Well, there is to me, but I can't get into that right now. It doesn't really matter if it's distinctive to somebody else, right?